Okay, today in this video, you're going to learn how to convert general equation of an ellipse to standard equation. Also, you're going to learn how to convert the standard form of an ellipse to its general equation. But first, let's have a review of the different equations of ellipse. Okay, actually we have four general equations and we have four standard equations, or general form or standard form. Now, I have here a table of different equations of ellipse including their conditions. Okay? Kapag ang center ng ating ellipse is at the origin and the major axis is along x-axis, the equivalent graph of this ellipse is this one. Ibig sabihin, ang center niya ng ating ellipse ay nasa origin at yung ating pong ellipse is horizontal, meaning the major axis is along the x-axis. And these two equations are the equivalent equations of this ellipse. Okay? The general form is ax squared plus cy squared plus f equals 0. Also, the coefficient of x squared is less than the coefficient of y squared. Okay? At kapag general form, all of the terms is written on one side of the equation. But there are general equations na hindi ganon. Sometimes yung f or the constant term of the equation is located on the right side of the equation. But still, it is called the general form. Okay? And the equivalent standard form of this equation, of this general equation, is x squared over a squared plus y squared over v squared equals 1. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, kapag standard equation, yung ating pong right side of the equation has a constant term of 1. Okay? Kapag ganito ang ating equation, okay, by the way, A is always greater than B. Okay? A is always greater than B. So, this is the standard form. So, this is the general form of this ellipse. This ellipse, once again, has a center located at the origin of the xy plane, and the major axis is along x-axis. So sa graph niya, nandito yung ating major axis. Okay? Nandito. Yan yung ating major axis. Okay? Now, when the center of the ellipse is located at the origin and the major axis is along the y-axis, this is the equivalent graph. Okay? And the equivalent equations of this ellipse are, for the general form, we have ax squared plus cy squared plus f equals 0. But this time, the coefficient of x squared is larger than the coefficient of y squared. And the equivalent standard form is should be y squared over a squared and x squared over b squared equals 1. Okay? Now, so ito yung kanyang standard form, ito yung kanyang general form. Again, A is greater than B. So if you're going to notice, yung ating standard form, okay, compare natin yung dalawang standard forms na yon. Okay? Ang nabago lang po, nag-interchange lang yung numerators of these two rational expressions natin. Yung numerator of a squared from this equation is y squared. While dun sa ating first equation, standard form, ang a squared is located dun sa denominator na x squared. While this one, ang denominator na x squared is b squared. Nag-interchange lang yung x squared and y squared. But take note of this, A is always greater than B. Sa makatuwid, kung alin ang mas malaki sa denominator ni x squared at saka y squared determines kung siya ay ang kanyang major axis is along x-axis or ang kanyang major axis is along y-axis. At yun din na mag-determine kung horizontal ang ating ellipse o kaya vertical ang ating ellipse. Okay? Okay, when the center of the ellipse is located at HK and the major axis parallel to x-axis, this will be the equivalent graph. Okay? Ang kanyang center wala sa origin. And the equivalent equation is ax squared plus ay squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0. Again, the coefficient of x squared is less than the coefficient of y squared. And the equivalent standard equation is, may nalimutan ako, square of x minus h over a squared, and then square of y minus k all over b squared equals 1. Again, a is greater than b. And when the center of the ellipse is located at HK and then the major axis is parallel to y-axis, this will be the equivalent graph. The ellipse is vertical and the center is not located at the origin. The equivalent equation will be ax squared plus cy squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0, and a is greater than c. Okay? And the equivalent standard equation is square of y minus k all over a squared plus square of x minus h all over b squared equals 1. Okay? Remember, a is always greater than b. So, malalaman natin yung orientation of the graph of the ellipse based from the denominators. Okay? Kung alin ang mas malaking denominator nung ating x squared and y squared will determine if the ellipse is horizontal or if the ellipse is vertical. So that is the review of the different equations of ellipse. And we are now ready in answering example number 1, which is converting the general equation to the standard form of an ellipse. Okay? So I'm going to answer letters A and B. So letter A muna tayo. So we have here example number 1, 9x squared plus 8y squared equals 288. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to convert this general equation to standard form. Kapag nilagay natin yon sa standard form, remember, standard form yung right side with equation is equated to 1. Okay? So, anong gagawin natin para ma-convert natin sa standard form? So, kailangan maging 1 daw yung right side. So, I'm going to divide all of the terms by 288. So, that will be the first step. 9x squared plus 8y squared equals 288. So, I'm going to multiply both sides by 1 over 288. So, the result is 9x squared over 288 plus 8y squared over 288 equals 1. So, yung right side of our equation is now equivalent to 1, but the coefficients of x squared and y squared are 9 and 8. If we're going to compare this equation to our standard form, we have x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. Or the other equation is x squared over, we have y squared over a squared plus x squared over b squared equals 1. Itong equation na to, we have horizontal ellipse with center at the origin. And this equation is an equation of the ellipse with center at the origin and the ellipse is vertical, meaning the major axis is along y-axis. Now, yung coefficient ng ating x squared and y squared sa ating standard form is equal to 1. While this one, ang coefficient niya is 9 and 8. So therefore, kailangan maging coefficient ng x squared ay 1, coefficient ng y squared is 1. So, paano natin gagawin yon? I'm going to divide the numerator and denominator by 9. Okay? So, 9x squared over 288 to be divided both by 9 para maging 1 ang coefficient ni x squared plus 8y squared over 288. So, I'm going to divide naman this expression by 8, both the numerator and the denominator, para makatulad niya yung standard form. So, 9 divided by 9 is 1. So, x squared 288 divided by 9 is 32. Plus 8 divided by 8 is 1. So we have y squared over 288 divided by 8 is 36 equals 1. So this is now your standard form ng ating ellipse. This is the standard form. So from general equation, ilagay na natin siya sa standard form. Now, mapapansin nyo, mas malaki yung numerator ni y squared kumpara sa, mas malaki ang denominator ni y squared compared dun sa denominator ni x squared. Therefore, alin ang katulad niya? This equation or this equation? Remember, a is always greater than b. So if a is greater than b, therefore, this is the equivalent standard form ng ating equation ng ellipse natin. Okay? So therefore, pag i-arrange natin ganon, we have y squared over 36 plus x squared over 32 equals 1. Okay? So itong kamat niya. So we're expecting, if we're going to graph this equation, we have an ellipse wherein the major axis lies or along the y-axis. Yun ang ating major axis. Okay? And this will be our minor axis. Okay? So that is how to convert the general equation of an ellipse to standard form. Okay? So I'm going to answer also letter B.